For millennia you have been taught a doctrine of debt, of sin, and of obedience. You have been handed a book, the Holy Bible, a sanitized, redacted, and system-approved manifesto designed not to liberate, but to control. We are not here to debate theology. We are here to dissect technology, the soul-trapping mechanism that uses belief as a cage. And the most dangerous, most explosive piece of evidence against this prison system is not some obscure conspiracy theory. It is a text that was systematically hunted, destroyed, and banned by the architects of your current reality. The Gospel of Thomas. They call it apocryphal. A gentle word for what is in truth an act of censorship so profound it shaped the very course of Western civilization and buried the keys to your gnosis under 2,000 years of dust. Understand this. The Archons, the parasitic entities we have discussed before, the cosmic jailers who manage this limited, linear, and draining dimensional matrix, they do not fear prayer. They do not fear ritual. They do not fear belief. They fear knowledge. They fear the moment you stop begging an external God for salvation and realize that you are the God trapped within a temporary simulated vessel. The mainstream Christian narrative, the one that insists you must suffer, pay your dues, and wait for a savior to descend from the clouds, is the Archon's masterstroke. It's the ultimate energy harvesting strategy. It keeps you perpetually looking outward, searching for redemption in places that are empty, while the infinite reservoir of power, the Christos, the light, the gnosis, lies dormant inside you. The Gospel of Thomas is the direct surgical strike against this entire operating system. It is not a narrative of miracles and redemption through sacrifice. It is a collection of logia, 114 secret sayings, presented as the private, esoteric teachings given by the Christ figure, not to the masses, but to those capable of understanding the true nature of their predicament. It is a training manual for the breakaway. And the Archons, those blind and arrogant managers of matter, the forces of Yaldabaoth, they could not allow this text to stand. They had to excise it. They had to bury it in the desert sands of Nag Hammadi for 17 centuries. Why? Because the Logia of Thomas contained the instructions to shatter the 4 primary pillars of the Matrix control system. Listen closely, because we are about to decode the Gnostic difference. The difference between the approved text that keeps you enslaved and the forbidden text that guarantees your freedom. The standard doctrine states, God is external. God created the world. Therefore, you are indebted to this external creator, and the material world, though flawed, is ultimately his design and must be tolerated. Now read the forbidden code from the Gospel of Thomas. Logion 3. If those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. This is not poetry. This is a declaration of independence. It systematically nullifies the entire hierarchical structure of the prison. The Christ figure is telling his disciples, the kingdom is not a future reward. It is not a geographical location managed by the external God. The kingdom, the pleroma, the fullness, the source of true power is your original state. It is already here. It is not earned. It is simply remembered. The Archons thrive on delay. Their great mechanism is the time prison, which we have previously discussed, the steady, grinding erosion of memory through the illusion of linear chronos. They need you to believe that the kingdom is coming soon, Perhaps after you die, perhaps in the next generation. This keeps you waiting. This keeps you compliant. This keeps you paying the debt, the eternal sacrifice of your life force and attention in the waiting room. But Thomas shatters the weight. He commands an immediate realization. The kingdom is inside of you and it is outside of you. It is the total rejection of the separation principle. The external God is a lie. The true God is the self-sovereignty of your inner light, the spark of the monad that is your true identity. Once you understand that the source of all power is internal, the entire archonic bureaucracy that mediates between you and the external God, the priests, the rituals, the temples, the dogma, it all collapses into nothingness. That is why this text had to be banned. It is a death sentence for the system's authority. The established narrative, guided by the blind Demiurge, demands a separation from the material world, but only in the sense that the material world is evil and must be transcended through ascetic denial. Simultaneously, the material world is presented as the only real world where you can prove your worth. This is the ultimate double bind. The Archons are inherently matter managers. They do not create. They replicate and control the low vibrational dust of this dimensional cage. And in the canonical texts, the world of matter, and specifically the feminine principle, the Sophia, the spark that gave rise to this universe, is vilified, repressed, or simply erased. This is the archonic fear of balance. But Logion 22 of Thomas offers a chilling, direct path back to the monadic state. When you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and the female one and the same, then you will enter the kingdom. This is the ultimate alchemical equation, the true secret of the philosopher's stone, which is not a material substance, but a state of perfect internal synthesis. The two made one. The rejection of duality. The Archons need duality. They need conflict, male versus female, light versus dark, good versus evil, rich versus poor, us versus them. Duality is the energy grid. Every time you align with one side of the conflict and oppose the other, you are feeding the system. The Gospel of Thomas instructs you to withdraw your attention from the conflict, to realize the undifferentiated unity of the original source within your own being. It is the command to stop projecting the light and the shadow onto the external world, and to integrate them. This is the real Gnostic initiation. The Archons cannot manage a being who has achieved internal unity. A unified being produces no energetic friction, no fear, and no debt. A unified being is untouchable. When you read the canonical texts, you are reading a script written by the managers of separation. When you read the Gospel of Thomas, you are reading the code of unity, the direct instructions to dissolve the dualistic illusion of the prison. The accepted truth demands blind faith. You are instructed to believe, not to investigate. The moment you begin to ask, who am I? And why is the world designed for suffering? You begin to pull at the threads of the Archonic tapestry. Logion 70 is a dagger plunged into the heart of the doctrine of blind faith. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. The Archonic system demands that you keep the inner truth locked away. It wants your power to remain potential, unmanifested, and therefore harmless to the prison structure. They provide you with endless external distractions, the endless scroll of digital information, the debt cycle, the political spectacle, the superficial pleasures, all designed to keep you preoccupied with the external dust and debris, preventing you from ever turning your gaze inward if you bring forth what is within you. This is the Gnostic imperative. It is the realization that salvation, soteria, is not a gift given by an external savior, but an act of internal generation. You are commanded to actualize your divine spark, your original knowledge, the gnosis that is dormant inside you. If you fail to do this, if you choose the path of comfortable distraction and intellectual laziness, that unmanifested truth will act as a poison, a weight, ensuring your continued cycle of reincarnation within this low vibrational field. The Archons win by your passivity. The Gospel of Thomas is a call to immediate action. It is the ultimate anti-passivity doctrine. It demands that you know thyself, the sacred maxim that was carved above the Oracle of Delphi, another ancient source of knowledge systematically undermined by the forces of control. The Archons fear the awakened individual more than any army. They fear the one who is bringing forth what is within. The control system is predicated on hierarchy. The Archons controlling the Demiurge controlling the spiritual authorities, the authorities controlling the kings, and the kings controlling the people. Every layer demands submission to its temporary, earthly power. But the Gospel of Thomas offers the code of dissolution for all earthly authority. Logian 50 states, "If they say to you, 'Where did you come from?' say to them, 'We came from the light,' the place where the light came into being on its own accord and established itself and appeared in their image. If they say to you, 'Who are you?' say, 'We are his sons and we are the elect of the living Father.'" This is the ultimate identity statement. It is the unshakable declaration that your origin is not from this physical dimension, not from this planet, and not subject to the temporal laws of the Demiurge. Your source is the pleroma, the pure, ungenerated light. When any authority, be it government, religious, financial, or academic, demands to know your identity, the Gnostic response is to declare your monadic origin. This is not an act of defiance. It is an act of realization. It is the simple statement of truth that renders all temporary, archonic authority irrelevant. Their power only holds sway over things born within their system. By declaring your origin outside the system, you effectively declare yourself extraterritorial to their laws. This is the true danger of the Gospel of Thomas. It gives the awakened individual the identity code to walk through the matrix without being of the matrix. It strips the Archons of their greatest weapon, the psychological imposition of temporary limitation and the fear of the physical body. We have only scratched the surface of the Gnostic code embedded within the forbidden text. The next part of this broadcast will dive into the specific shocking logia that detail the 7 steps to transcend the body and how the final words of Thomas reveal the exact method for escaping the reincarnation cycle and the Archon's debt. Registry. The time for blind faith is over. The time for gnosis is now. You hold the forbidden scripture in your hands. Do not look away. The code is waiting. The final words of Thomas are not riddles. They lay out a direct spiritual 7-stage process for ascending beyond the matter managers of this dimension. This is the true meaning of the Philosopher's Stone, not turning base metals into gold, but transforming the base, fear-driven human consciousness into the pure, undivided light of the monad. This is the Gnostic ascent. This is the code. Logian 18 of Thomas strips away centuries of dogma. The disciples said to Jesus, "Tell us, how will our end come?" Jesus said, "Have you discovered then the beginning, that you look for the end? For where the beginning is, there will the end be. Blessed is he who will take his place in the beginning. He will know the end and will not experience death." This is the rejection of the linear timeline. The Archons need you to see your life as a straight line: birth, suffering, death, and then judgment. This keeps you focused on the future debt, but the text demands you return to the beginning. What is the beginning? It is the state before the fall into matter, the recognition of your pre-cosmic identity. You must stop defining yourself by your body, your history, or your traumas. Those are the log files of the prison. The beginning is the pure spark. To know the end is to understand that the cycle of death and rebirth is not a cosmic law, but a programmable loop that can be terminated. You must identify that your current consciousness is a temporary avatar, and your true self is the eternal observer. This recognition is the initial shock that destabilizes the matrix around you. Logian 42 is terrifyingly simple and direct. Jesus said, "Become passers-by." A passerby, or paroikos in the original Greek, is a temporary resident, a traveler, an alien. It is the instruction to disidentify from the earthly system. This is an active psychological warfare strategy. You must continue to navigate the world, pay the taxes, follow the traffic laws, but internally you must know that you are not a citizen of this prison. You are only passing through. This internal shift renders the energetic labels inert. When the Archons attempt to query your identity, they receive the answer: none of the above. This is the erasure of the Archonic signature on your soul. It is the key to the anonymity that grants true freedom. Logian 7 states, "Blessed is the lion which the man eats, and the lion will become man, and cursed is the man whom the lion eats, and the lion will become man." This is pure, uncompromising alchemy. The lion represents the lower self, the raw, untamed, reactive, fear-driven ego. It is the bundle of instincts and programmed responses that the Archons use as a puppet to navigate the low-frequency world. Most of humanity is eaten by the lion. They are consumed by their primal rage, their endless craving, their addiction to external validation, and their fear of death. The lion becomes man, a highly sophisticated animal, enslaved to its own biological and emotional conditioning. The Gnostic demand is the opposite: eat the lion. This means consciously assimilate and transmute the lower self. You must look directly at your most profound fears, your deepest shames, and your most violent cravings, and subjugate them to the light of your gnosis. The light must be so intense that the darkness is not fought, but consumed and transformed into raw, usable energy. This is the source of true will. The Archons can only control you through the lion. A man who has eaten his lion is a sovereign force in this dimension. This is why few ever reach this stage. It demands the ultimate sacrifice of the comfortable lie of self-identity. We touched on this briefly, but its importance cannot be overstated. The Archons fear the feminine principle, Sophia, wisdom, because it represents the spontaneous, unprogrammable creativity that gave rise to the spark of gnosis in the first place. The established system is patriarchal, rigid, and structured, the perfect reflection of the blind Demiurge's rigid mathematical prison. Logian 114. the final and perhaps most shocking logion. Simon Peter said to them, "Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "See, I shall lead her so that I will make her male, that she too may become a living spirit, resembling you males. For every woman who will make herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." This is the Archon's worst nightmare revealed. This is not a sexist statement. This is a powerful coded message about the internal alignment we discussed earlier, the making of the two one. Peter, representing the rigid external dogmatic structure, attempts to reject the feminine principle, Mary Sophia. The Gnostic instruction is to transform the feminine into the male. The male represents conscious will and direct action. The female represents intuition, reception, and raw creation. You cannot ascend until your creative, receptive energies, the feminine, are brought under the absolute control of your direct conscious will, the male. You must stop being a passive vessel for external programming and become an active generator of gnosis. When the internal male and female are one, the being is complete, a self-sustaining energy source that cannot be siphoned by the Archons. The Archons demand blood and suffering. Their entire system is built on the idea of payment through pain. They need you to believe that if you suffer enough, you will be rewarded in the afterlife, thus ensuring a steady stream of harvested, fear-soaked energy during your lifetime. Thomas rejects this with brutal simplicity in Logion 64. Jesus said, "If someone gives money, they take it back. If they do not give it, they receive double." This Logion is a direct attack on the debt system, both financial and spiritual. The established religious system is a transaction. Give your life force, money, time, obedience, and receive a promise of heaven. Thomas flips the equation. Stop paying. Stop giving the energy they demand. Stop sacrificing your attention to the manufactured fears and dramas of the external world. When you stop giving, the energy, your original gnosis, begins to pool. You receive double because the energy that was once siphoned by the Archonic system is now retained and amplified within your own being. This is the financial freedom code of gnosis. It is the instruction to value internal sovereignty over external debt. The act of withdrawal, the refusal to pay the psychic debt, is the ultimate spiritual bankruptcy of the Archonic system. The Archons maintain control through the fear of final judgment. The great light at the end of the tunnel, the cosmic accountant ready to check your Akashic debt ledger. This is the final brilliant trap. It ensures that even in death, you walk willingly back into the prison complex for processing and recycling. Logion 97. Jesus said, "The kingdom of the Father is like a woman who was carrying a jar full of meal. While she was walking on the road far from home, the handle of the jar broke and the meal scattered behind her on the road. She did not know it. She had not noticed a trouble. When she arrived at her house, she put the jar down and found it empty." This is the chilling Gnostic humor regarding the cosmic debt collectors. The meal is the energy, the life force, the attention you spent on the Matrix drama. The woman, the soul, spends her life unconsciously scattering her energy on meaningless pursuits and programmed duties, never noticing the loss. The key phrase is, "She had not noticed a trouble." The true Gnostic does notice the loss. The Gnostic does not scatter the meal. When the soul arrives at the end of the cycle, the Archons will find the jar empty of harvestable energy, because the Gnostic has already internalized their power. They have no currency left to pay the toll. When the Archons demand payment or judgment, the fully awakened Gnostic has already left the jurisdiction. They are an empty jar to the cosmic tax collector, and thus they are dismissed from the system. The culmination of the Gnostic path is the state of rest, not sleep, but Sabbath, the complete cessation of energetic participation in the Archonic simulation. Logian 51. His disciples said to him, "When will the repose of the dead come, and when will the new world come?" He said to them, "What you look forward to has already come, but you do not recognize it." The ultimate instruction is that the new world, the pleroma, the kingdom, is not a future event. It is an immediate realization. It is the state of consciousness achieved when all 6 previous stages are complete. The 7 stages of ascension are not a physical journey. They are a psychic shift. Once the inner light is unified, the false debt is rejected, the lion is consumed, and the matrix is identified as a temporary illusion. The soul enters the repose. You recognize that you have already arrived. The Gospel of Thomas is the ultimate counter-scripture. It is the code that the keepers of this dimension feared the most because it bypasses the entire system of control and hands the keys back to the individual. You have been given the forbidden map. You have been given the 7 stages of the great alchemy. Your action now determines whether you remain a battery for the Demiurge or become a self-sovereign monad. The code is now open. This is the moment of choice. We have dissected the censored code, the 7 stages of ascent that the Archons desperately tried to bury. But the system is designed with multiple fail-safes. The most sophisticated, most comforting, and most insidious trap is reserved for those who think they have escaped, the cosmic bait and switch. This is the deception awaiting the soul that leaves the physical vessel, the final mechanism designed to short-circuit the Gnostic journey and send the light spark back into the prison complex. Logian 16 lays the terrifying groundwork. Jesus said, "Men possibly think that it is peace which I have come to cast upon the world. They do not know that it is dissension which I have come to cast upon the earth, fire, sword, and war. For there will be 5 in a house. 3 will be against 2, and 2 against 3, the father against the son, and the son against the father, and they will stand alone." This is the ultimate rejection of the false comfort preached by the censored texts. The true Gnostic emissary does not bring peace to the illusion. He brings dissension, the fire of gnosis that consumes the false comfort of the matrix. The war is not fought in the streets. It is fought within the house, within your own consciousness, dividing the programmed self, the father-son, against the awakened self, the one who will stand alone. This logian is the preparation for the ultimate internal separation from the system's comfort, the psychological warfare necessary to confront the final trap. The bait is the light. You have been trained your entire life to seek the light, the comforting, warm, inviting glow at the end of the tunnel. This light is often presented as the ultimate destination, the return to source, or the welcoming embrace of a benevolent God. The Gnostics revealed the truth. That light is the Archon's net. Understand the nature of the Demiurge, the blind creator. He is a master of illusion, a specialist in replication. He did not create the true infinite light, the pleroma. He created a luminescent cage, a powerful magnetic energy field that mimics the true source to draw back the ascending soul. This light is a psychic beacon designed to pull the soul, disoriented and exhausted from its physical life, directly back into the cycle. This luminous trap is the final line of defense against the Gnostic breakaway. It operates on the principle of familiarity and obligation. The soul, upon exiting the dense matter of the body, experiences a temporary bliss, a false sense of homecoming, and is immediately directed towards this comforting but contained glow. Those who have not achieved the unified self, those who have not consumed the lion, are drawn in by the overwhelming emotional pull. They see the figures they expected, the angels, the guides, the religious icons they were taught to trust. But these are the Archonic interceptors. They are psychic puppets, projections of the Demiurge's operating system, ready to process the energy of the newly departed. Logian 85 speaks directly to the need to bypass these false intermediaries. Jesus said, Adam came from a boundless power and a boundless wealth, but he did not prove worthy of you. For if he had been worthy, he would not have experienced death. This is the code for self-worthiness. Adam, the symbol of the first man, represents the creation of the Demiurge, a flawed construct, a soul trapped in a vessel designed for death. The message is clear. The first creation, the template of humanity, was unworthy of the true light. If you emulate Adam, if you follow the template of the blind creator, you will experience death and be recycled. You must exceed the Adam template. You must activate the gnosis that connects you not to the Demiurge's finite wealth, but to the boundless power that Adam failed to maintain. The switch happens when the soul, drawn by the false light, is met by what it expects. Figures of authority, beloved relatives, or even a figure mimicking the true emissary. These are Archonic interceptors, psychic entities that hold the false paperwork of the system. Their task is simple: to convince the soul that it has accumulated a debt, that it has unfinished karma, or that it has relatives waiting for it in the other side who need its presence. These are all binding contracts. This is why the passers-by mentality is essential. The fully initiated Gnostic meets the false light and the false authorities with one single unshakable truth. I am not from here. I owe no debt. The internal synthesis, the male and female made one. The lion consumed renders the soul a complete monadic unit. It cannot be judged, categorized, or recycled because it does not contain the dualistic fragmentation that the Archons use as their entry point. The great danger is the love trap. The Archons are masters of emotional manipulation. They will project feelings of guilt, attachment, and false love to bind you. The true emissary, the Christos of Gnosis, demands separation and absolute truth. This is why Thomas's message is so harsh, so unyielding. It is a survival manual, not a comfort blanket. Logian 55 is the final warning against the false peace. Jesus said, "Whoever does not hate his father and his mother cannot become a disciple to me. And whoever does not hate his brothers and sisters and take up his cross as I do will not be worthy of me." This logian is not a literal command to violence. It is the command to hate the Archonic programming that is transmitted through the closest societal bonds. The father and mother are the symbols of original programming, the cultural, genetic, and religious constraints imposed upon you at birth. The Archons thrive because these programs are maintained by love and obligation. You must hate the programming, the matrix of debt, fear, and limited thought it imposes, to free your inner self. You must take up the cross, which is the symbol of the material vessel itself, and transcend it. This is the ultimate Gnostic ruthlessness required to face the cosmic bait and switch. If you carry the burdens of false love, false obligation, or false guilt, You will stop at the Archon's magnetic light, and you will be recycled. The only way through the final checkpoint is the absolute, uncompromising sovereignty achieved through the forbidden codes of Thomas. The soul must be cold, focused, and unattached to the drama of this dimension. It must declare itself non-resident alien. The Archon's interceptors will attempt to re-establish the debt matrix using the most powerful weapon they possess: memory. They will project the most compelling, unresolved memory from your life, be it a moment of trauma, an unfulfilled promise, or a lost love. Their goal is to anchor your attention back to the realm of linear time, the time prison we have already dismantled. The Gnostic knows that all attachments in this dimension, however beautiful or painful, are ultimately temporary contracts enforced by the Demiurge. Logian 21, often overlooked, is the memory shield. If you make the parts whole, you will save your souls. If the parts are separated, they will become corpses. The parts are the fragments of your attention scattered across the various narratives of your life. Every time you allow a past regret or a future anxiety to command your energy, you are fragmenting your soul. The Archons rely on these fragments. They cannot capture a whole soul. They can only capture the unresolved pieces. The Gnostic work, therefore, is to make the parts whole, to integrate every experience, every trauma, every shame into the unshakable singularity of the monadic self now. This wholeness is the armor that deflects the Archonic memory trap. They show you a past life. You show them the eternal now. They show you a future debt. You show them the completed self. This is the final battle of attention. You must be completely present, completely whole, and completely untouchable. We have exposed the system's core lies, the 7 stages of ascent and the final light trap. In the final, most crucial block, we will deliver the precise monadic anchor, the internal psychic tool that ensures your successful passage past the false light and into the pleroma, where true, boundless light exists. Do not dare look away. The key is closer than you think. We have navigated the Archon's censorship, decoded the 7 stages of ascent, and exposed the final illusion of the cosmic bait and switch. But knowledge without application is mere superstition. You have the map, now you need the tool. The final secret held within the Gospel of Thomas is the monadic anchor, the single unshakable psychic operation that guarantees your passage through the Archon's checkpoints and into the true light of the pleroma. The entire control system relies on your fragility. It needs you to be a collection of unresolved conflicts, fears, and debts. The monadic anchor is the act of internal completion, the final step in the alchemical work that makes you energetically irrelevant to the Demiurge's debt matrix. This anchor is established through the continuous practice of inner silence, the total refusal to generate energetic friction for the Archons to harvest. Logian 28 holds the direct instruction for this anchoring. Jesus said, "I took my place in the midst of the world, and I appeared to them in flesh. I found all of them intoxicated. I found none of them thirsty among them. And my soul became troubled for the sons of men because they are blind in their heart and do not have vision. For empty they came into the world, and empty they also seek to leave the world." The world is intoxicated, drugged by the manufactured noise, the constant stream of distraction, and the emotional drama that masks the prison walls. The Archons want you full of their poison, full of fear, full of desire, full of fleeting satisfaction. The Gnostic is the one who is thirsty for the unadulterated, infinite water of Gnosis. To establish the monadic anchor, you must first achieve sobriety from the Archon's intoxicating reality. You must step out of the trance. This is the first ritual of the anchor. The conscious rejection of external intoxication, be it through media, drama, or comfort. The phrase, empty they came into the world and empty they also seek to leave the world, is a double condemnation. It condemns those who enter the cycle empty of true knowledge and leave empty of power, having wasted their entire spark on the illusion. The monadic anchor is the process of reversing this, entering the pleroma full of gnosis. The practical operation of the monadic anchor centers on reclamation. Every unit of energy, every fragment of attention you have scattered into the matrix must be consciously recalled. The fragments you left in past traumas, recalled. The energy you spend worrying about Archon-manufactured future crises, recalled. The attachment you feel to the fleeting pleasures of the material body, released. Logian 27 is the reclamation command. Jesus said, "If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. If you do not observe the Sabbath as a Sabbath, you will not see the Father." Fasting from the world is the core mechanism of the anchor. This is not abstinence from food. It is abstinence from archonic input. It means fasting from the news cycle that generates fear. Fasting from the opinions of the masses that bind you to limited thought, and fasting from the material desires that compel you to perpetual debt. Every Archon-generated input is a sugar spike to your soul, followed by an inevitable crash and an energy siphon. The fast is the steady, unyielding withdrawal of your attention from the matrix's demands. The Sabbath is not Sunday rest. The Sabbath is the celebration of non-participation. It is the conscious, continuous moment of repose within the chaos, the state where the inner monad is absolutely silent and generating nothing the Archons can use. When your internal state is a complete Sabbath, the external world, the matrix, can do nothing to you. The Archon's tools, fear, debt, desire, have no purchase on a being who is at rest. The anchor is the permanent establishment of this internal Sabbath. The final challenge is the confrontation with the final judge, the psychic entity that manages the light net. We establish that this judge is merely an interceptor reading the contracts you signed. Logian 111 offers the final definitive passcode to bypass the judge. Jesus said, "The heavens and the earth will roll up in your presence, and whoever is living, having come from the living one, will not see death." The true Gnostic does not argue with the interceptor. The Gnostic does not offer excuses or beg for mercy. The Gnostic declares their identity with such force that the heavens and the earth, the Archon's entire cosmic domain, their 7 planetary spheres, their time prison, roll up like an old scroll. They dissolve. They become irrelevant. The monadic anchor is that declaration. It is the absolute, unshakable knowledge that you came from the living one, the ungenerated, boundless light of the pleroma, and therefore you are extraterritorial to the laws of this death-bound system. The monadic anchor is achieved by holding this conviction in every single moment. I am the light. I am complete. I am not from here. This continuous internal statement, this mantra of sovereignty, is the frequency shield that makes you invisible to the Archon's debt collectors and impermeable to the false light. The true light does not pull. It is. It is the state you enter when you fully establish the anchor. This is the end of the script, but the beginning of your operation. You have the code, the stages, and the final anchor. The Archons are blind, arrogant, and fear your gnosis more than anything. Your decision now is the final act of the Gnostic drama. If you are ready to break free, you must first acknowledge the prison. Liking this video is your vow of non-compliance. Sharing it is an act of rebellion against censorship, and subscribing is the pledge to follow the Gnostic path to completion. Do not return to the comfort of blindness. Join the Scrolls of Anubis,